call value drivers. And so when we meet with teams, they say, great, we've got a tool that we can build apps in seconds, but actually, how do we understand why we're doing this? Why are we creating and streamlining procedures, and where to start? And so, the first question, we would like to everyone on the same page in terms of how the organization is structured and how do the frontline people fit into the processes, which fit into the business goals and the strategic intent of the organization. And so let's quickly review that. So we have, the strategic intent, that's the company mission and purpose, whether it's to produce energy for the world or whatever it is at the mission of the company. That will start to get quickly broken down into, well, what is our strategic plan? And what are the financial KPIs, or how do we keep score basically towards our mission and purpose? Typically that's financial KPIs. And then there's executive accountability that goes along with that. So that's where, the senior vice president, the vice president, they are accountable to hitting those financial KPIs towards the mission of the company. Those financial KPIs really start getting broken down into the business planning. And so, if we start splitting those out, we talk about how do we, basically maintain the assets that we have, maintain the refineries, factories, service organizations. How do we operate those assets effectively? And then, maybe when we want to upgrade or increase throughput or whatever it is, really, those are the three high-level ways of looking at the organization. So for example, operating the assets, there's a number of business processes that basically enable the teams to operate the asset effectively. This is how these are the checklists on how do we operate it. Or how do we maintain it? How do we shut down the asset? How do we maybe rebuild it or perform maintenance duties? How do we start it back up? There's a number of business processes and that basically enable that to happen. In terms of Fat Finger, those business processes and what we call app templates live on Fat Finger, and then the frontline people use those. So really simple, but we just want to be on the same page in terms of it all starts with the business process that basically enables the business goals to meet the financial goals and meet the mission. And so that's really where this whole flow comes in, because it's like, well, why are we actually using Fat Finger in the first place? It's to enable the business processes so that we can operate it successfully, maintain it, upgrade it, et cetera, to meet our business goals, to ultimately meet our financial and mission and purpose of the organization. So when we meet with teams, we say, well, what use cases do you want to work on? And the high performing teams already have, they just rifle off ideas like we want to do health and safety, JSAs, observations, incident forms. We want to do operator rounds, and we have 50 of those. We have from the maintenance side or the reliability side, we have asset inspections. Maybe our shutdown team also has how do we start things up, shut them down, rebuild them. Maybe site induction procedures. Those all come from those business processes I was talking about. But if we look at them from a value perspective, if we look at throughput, well, what is throughput made out of? Availability, rate, and quality. How is availability? So, planned losses, which is like shutdowns, or is it reliability? And then if we look at planned loss, so that's scheduled shutdowns, there's a number of procedures that make that. So changeover procedures, setup documents, etc. All of those you probably already have. They're probably in shared drives, PDFs, maybe sitting on a dusty filing cabinet somewhere. All of those can live on Fat Finger. So a frontline employee has it all at their fingertips across every device. And so we make it really easy for all of that content to start to be used. And now you can measure that, is it being used, and start using your data more intelligently. So that we've got, that's a way of looking at throughput. We've got cost. I won't go through all the trees here, but this will start to maybe generate some ideas, or like, oh yeah, we do have, for our contractors, they do need to have, go through a site induction and follow our way of operating safely and efficiently. And those are great things for Fat Finger. You load them on, create a contractor team. Now only the contractors will see that. They won't see maybe all of your other procedures across your company. And so you can easily manage that and have them work efficiently and safely, and everyone's on the same page. We look from a service perspective. Again, on-time delivery of service. Well, it could be from the distribution side, the warehousing team, both acceptance of material as well as from the, after something's been produced, do we have procedures that make that a reality? And again, all easily live on Fat Finger. So the next is, really, have we identified, we come back to these value drivers, the right use cases to drive our business KPIs and strategic plan. And so have we identified those highest values use cases? And then really, are we doing them? Are we doing them optimally towards the plan? Are we actually doing the operator rounds? Are we actually using all of this valuable intellectual property that the organization has? Is it easily available, like on something like Fat Finger? And are we measuring it? Do we have the data to prove that we are? And of course, Fat Finger helps with that, all of that. Here's just some popular use cases, just spark some ideas across different areas of the organization or different organizations. And again, these are just ideas. Most of our clients already have all of this stuff. It's just lost in shared drives or on paper binders or clipboards, etc. So to give some very specific examples, so if we go to health and safety, right? Very common, or the most common use cases is and everyone calls them something different, whether it's a safety observation, the take 5, the step back, whatever it is, it's a tool to drive awareness. And so the reason why those are actually in place in an organization is obviously to drive safety, which then, not only keeps everyone going home safe at night, back to their families, but also drives profit and towards the purpose of the organization. And so if we look at how does that, how do we get from, the safety observation card all the way down to profit is, well, safety observation app template. So you usually build out on Fat Finger. The metrics behind that is app usage and number of activities. So, basically who's using the app. If we break that down, that equals, risk awareness, awareness to what is going around you. And so now you have quantifiable behavior change and risk discovery of what are the potentially nasty things around you that could cause an incident. That improves incident rate, which obviously has safety costs as well as could impact operational downtime, which then works into operational cost. Now we're into the money side, and the lower the cost, the higher the profit. So you can see how this all works back to the business process and enabling people to do those efficiently, effectively. So just to get, again, more examples. So reliability, some sort of asset inspection or leak inspection. How often are we doing those? Which, if we're inspecting them often and capturing great data there, then that can impact leak performance, which then improves reliability, operational cost, and then profit. Same thing with operator rounds. Are we doing them? If we are, then is job quality improving? And the process is followed, all the steps are followed, etc. Improves reliability, improves operational cost, improves profit. Same thing if we look at it from the turnaround or shutdown perspective. You know, there'll be many different jobs that could be done, but if we have to rebuild the compressor, maybe it's how do we shut it down? How do we actually take it apart? How do we rebuild it or maintain it? How do we start it back up? So that improves job quality as well as speed of the job, which again impacts can we do it faster so we have a shorter downtime window, and is the job done correctly in the first place, which will improve reliability. Again, flows down to operational cost and profit. When we meet with teams, they say no, we don't have a use case. Well, really, they're either not educated and they haven't gone through this presentation, or they haven't done the value driver exercise. They haven't really looked at, okay, what are our business goals on site? What are they? What area do they fit in? Is it operations, maintenance, whatever it is? And then what business processes drive that? And then do we have an easy tool for it to help enable those goals? And so we've given the value drivers to kind of maybe bubble up some ideas, but there is a successful implementation of Fat Finger. The client has basically built hundreds, if not thousands, of app templates to help their organization run smoothly. So if you're only having one or two, really, the team needs to get together and really flesh out what are our business goals, what are we trying to achieve, and what are the processes that will help make that happen. And then, of course, our team was always here to help assist to make that happen. Thanks, everyone.